Hi, everyone. My name is Michael Corson. I am the manager of customer success here at TipHaus. You might know me from interacting with me at the support desk or maybe seeing me on meetings. Today, I'm going to be walking you through the employee app. This is something we've had a lot of asks for. So I just wanted to come in, walk through it, give you a video presentation of exactly what you're going to see while you're in here. Hopefully this will be useful for managers and employees alike. I am in TipHaus employee app right now as Missouri Corona. This is a demo employee at one of our demo restaurants. So things may be a little bit different as we walk through here. Your restaurant may or may not use peer-to-peer. Your restaurant may or may not use earn tip access. Your restaurant may or may not use tip pools or tip sharing rules. I'm going to be showing you exactly what's in this account and showing you kind of where you can get more information on exactly what is in use at your restaurant. So with that in mind, to log into this view, what you're going to do is you're going to go to my.tiphaus.com. This is very much a website. It's also very much an application. It's what's known as a progressive web application, which you can think of as kind of an application that's housed as a website. So what that means for you is you can log into this on any device that has access to the internet, and you can pin this to your home screen on a ton of devices. And once you do that, it's going to work just like an app. You'll see the icon, you'll be able to access it, log in on your device just like an application. The benefits for us are we can do really quick updates to this, make sure that it's running smoothly without having to go through App Store hoops. And we can also get this to display on a lot more devices with fewer issues. So best of both worlds there. In order to register, all you need to do is make sure that in TipHaus, in your client dashboard, so speak to your manager, that in the settings list under employees, that there's an email there. That email that's next to your name is the one you're going to use to register. As long as that's in your POS system, in most cases, that's going to be in TipHaus. If you're having trouble logging in, ask your manager if your email's there and they'll help you out. This page that I'm looking at right now is the My Profile page. This is the last page at the bottom of your screen that you'll see. And you can see that there's a name, there's an email, there's a password, there's a PIN code. You can update all of this stuff from this page and make it exactly the way you want. You can also contact TipHaus. Support at tiphaus.com is a great resource. We're always going to be happy to help. In most cases, your manager is going to have the answers you need. And even before you go to your manager, there's a lot of answers you can get out of this application. The best way to kind of keep things moving quickly and make sure we can contact as many people and help as many people as we can is going to be try to answer your questions here. Ask your manager if you have questions about your tip rules at your restaurant and how that's set up and what the rules are. And if there's any questions beyond that point, feel free to come right to us and we'll be more than happy to help. Now, in terms of what you can answer for yourself, there are help articles here. They're designed specifically for you. So you're not going to see a ton of articles that aren't relevant. It's just going to be articles about earn tip access and this employee app. So click there, read up, see if you can find your answer. We've tried our best to kind of write everything out for you. There's also tip distribution settings. A lot of people miss this button, but this is going to show you the actual rules that are in place at your account. So at this account, this is a demo account. So you're going to see lots of tip pools. You're going to see lots of tip sharing rules. And actually, I'm at a different location. So I'm going to switch locations. If you do work at more than one location in your organization, you'll be able to drop down and select for yourself which location you're viewing. So rather than look at TipHaus Coffee, I'm going to look at TipHaus Seattle. I'm going to come back and look at these tip distribution settings. And we'll see a lot of tip pools and we'll see a lot of tip sharing rules in here with a lot of detail into how those things are working. So in terms of tip sharing rules, these are kind of one group of job codes giving to another group of job codes. So a server tipping out a percentage of their tips to the busser or something like that. You could click into that rule and see how that's working. In this case, it's 2.25% of kind of food, liquor, and beer sales are taken. We take that number in tips and we take it from servers to bussers. We split that amongst all the bussers who work during the day based on their minutes worked. Now, after all that kind of stuff happens, there might be pools that happen. So in this case, there's a server bar pool and it says, okay, after everybody gets tipped out through this tip sharing rules, take what's left and pool that money with other bartenders and people like that. You'll see managers are in the pool here. They have a point value of 0. So they're putting all their money into the pool and they're not taking anything out. So they're giving it all out to the bartenders and servers. In this case, it's based on time of sale. That just means that you will only get a cut of a sales tips if you were actually there helping during that sale time. Now, you're going to see lots of different things depending on where you work. Definitely encourage you to come here, click around, see your own settings for your own rules, ask your manager questions. But everything you need to know in terms of your tip policy should be housed here. All right. Moving on, I'm going to go to the very first page at the bottom. We're going to stay at that location, and we're going to be viewing just the current pay period, which is the 10th through today. You could go and you could select other pay periods. You can kind of go back in time and see how things work. It's worth noting that the way TipHaus works is we pull sales data directly from the POS, and we pull shift data directly from wherever you're clocking in, and we use that data to make calculations. So long as that data is accurate, this number will be accurate. Now, of course, things like refunds happen or somebody forgets to clock in and out. So as people's data changes, TipHaus keeps up to date automatically, and there's no kind of case for human error there, other than forgetting to clock in and out. We use that data and we make the most recent calculation based on the most recent data. So this little note here explains this as well as we can. It's basically saying during the current pay period, this number is going to be as accurate as the most recent data we've gotten from your POS. So this is a good approximation of what you're going to be taking home. For previous pay periods that have already paid out, it's an exact number of what you have been paid out. Now, as you go down here, we can kind of show you how we get to this take-home number or what you're owed after calculations. So in this case, it's going to show the total tips that you rang in, how much of that was credit and gift card tips, how much was auto gratuity. And auto gratuity might be something like a 10% tip that you have to pay if you have a party of 6 or more, something like that. A tip that's added to the check that the guest has to pay. Now we take these values and we say, okay, how much did you give out through tip sharing rules? How much did you receive through tip sharing rules? How much did you put into a tip pool if you're part of a tip pool? How much did you take out of the tip pool if you're part of the tip pool? Basically, how do we run your tips through our calculations? We then take any additional calculations. This restaurant has a credit card tip fee. Not every restaurant uses one of these. Not every state allows them. So definitely take a look and see what's going on here. Any additional calculations that are in place are here with a little eye that you can hover on to get more information. So what this looks like is we say, take the total tips that you rang in, take into account how much you gave out and how much you received, and then get your take-home number. So in this case, we have a take-home number down here. You can see a little bit more detail in the pool. So how much did you put into the pool? How much did you take out? How much did you send or receive through tip sharing rules? In this case, if I click here, it's going to say, oh, I gave X amount to the bartender, to expos, to cooks, to host, to dishwashers. If you were one of these expos, you would see it the other way. So you'd be receiving from the people who are giving you tips. So just another level of detail in terms of how our calculations are being made. Below this, we have a little summary. This is what we call KPIs, or key performance indicators, or what are the things that help you track how well you're doing your job, or how, what's happening during your hours. So we give you time worked during the date range you're looking at, the total sales during that date range, how many tips you received on those sales, your tip percentage. So when a guest leaves you a tip, on average, how much are they leaving you? Take home, what you're actually earning post calculations. Tips per hour, really nice one. So you can say, hey, how much am I actually making in addition to my wages? Not a number that's really easy to look at in a lot of other systems. In TipHaus, for whatever date range you're looking at, if you can widen that date range out or select a custom date range here, you can kind of find out over specific periods of time how much you're making an hour in tips. It's really nice. You can also see total service charges, service charge take home split out in its own field, credit card take home split out in its own field. So how much of what you're taking home came from credit card tips that people decided to give you, how much came from service charges that people had to pay on their checks. If your restaurant uses cash tips, this is going to be tracked as well. Moving on, we get to see this data in kind of different ways. So one is broken down by shifts. Feel free to click around in here. You can click on these different shifts and hyperlink back to view those specific days. You can see a lot of information here the more you click around, but different ways of just looking into different days and different shifts that you're working and seeing at that level. And then my metrics. So if I was going to look at my metrics, maybe over a full pay period, maybe the previous pay period, I could see take home for each day. I could see take home tips, average take home per day, that kind of thing over a date range. Again, take home per hour is here. So as you look over a date range, you see what is your average take home per hour over a large set of days. Really, really useful stuff for proof of income, for trying to figure out, just what is your actual average amount that you're taking home, wages and tips combined. So you can kind of just plan on understanding, roughly what you can project in the future as your earnings. So really nice stuff here. Also time worked, just understanding, how much you're working day to day. This is a demo employee, so some of this data is quite unique as we're using it for different things. I don't think many servers are out there working 22-hour shifts, but this will reflect exactly what you're working. Now, these are some optional features. Peer-to-peer allows you to take money that you've rung in and send that money to other people. And you might be thinking, well, why would I want to send my money to other people? This is for all kind of the industry reasons that you're used to. So maybe somebody picks up a shift so that you can go to a concert or go to a party or something like that. Or maybe you just need the day off and somebody hops in and saves you. You can say, hey, I would like to give you some money for picking up my shift, maybe give you $10. If your restaurant has peer-to-peer turned on, it's as easy as just searching for the person you want to send to and say, Janet picked up my shift. And you say, Janet, I want to give you $10 for doing that. You would submit, you would confirm, you would enter your PIN number, and it would ask you to confirm one more time to say, hey, do you want to send this money off to Janet? Are you sure? That money is going to go. There's going to be a record of that send in your manager's client dashboard. So just in case there's any kind of dispute or anybody doesn't know what happened or money was accidentally sent, we don't see people sending accidental money very often. In most cases, you just ask Janet to send it right back and that kind of works. But if there's any kind of dispute, this is logged, it is safe, it is secure. And again, there are multiple steps of confirmation and PIN numbers and things like that. So very cool feature. It does work a little bit differently for ETA customers. So if you're on Earn Tip Access, which is kind of getting paid out the next day electronically through TipHaus, you can't share from your take home. You can share from tips that you ring in on your sales on the same day. So as you're working, you're ringing in sales, you'll see kind of your wallet increase here and you can share from that wallet ahead of time. And then you would each get that money on your next payout. Now, when it comes to payouts, next page is probably the most different. If your restaurant uses Earn Tip Access, these buttons are live and you can sign up for House Money, which is an awesome checking account where you can get tips paid out without any charges. Or you could link a debit card here through House Direct and get your tips paid then. And every time your manager clicks a payout button in TipHaus, it's going to pay out those tips. So instead of waiting to get your tips, you're going to get them kind of next day. Now, a lot of restaurants do this in different ways. Maybe they pay out in cash next day. Maybe they get paid out on the paychecks. Maybe you get paid on your paychecks at your restaurant. If your restaurant is not using this, when you click sign up, you're going to see, oh, your employer is not enrolled in the ETA program yet. There's information here. You can ask your restaurant about it, see if it's something they'd ever be interested in doing. Maybe they'll come on board and maybe we can get you signed up here. If you have signed up for House Money or House Direct, this is going to be a page where you can do a number of things. You can see past payouts. You can see which card you have linked. You can see what payout method you have selected. You can switch payout methods. You can opt out of the program and say, no, even though my restaurant offers House Money or House Direct, I want to continue to get my tips on paychecks. This becomes an active page where you can kind of manage that kind of stuff. So in general, I think I've covered every piece of the employee app, tried to cover the main questions we're getting. Again, feel free to reach out to us with any questions. Feel free to talk to your manager with any questions. They should be experts. If there's something where you ask your manager and they don't know, let us know that too. We can make sure that they get the answer, that you get the answer, and that everybody's just up on the same page and everybody knows as much as possible about how tips are working and try to keep this as transparent and as easy to use as we possibly can. So with that, I'll leave you. I want to just thank you for watching the video. I want to thank you for coming. I want to say, as always, we are just always here to help.